the access to all the casting directors gets easier. And with that, the access to auditions get easier. And it's not because I'm scared to voice an opinion because I'm going to get shit for it. I get shit for it without voicing an opinion anyway. So, it's absolutely fine. I mean, of course, when I got the whatever log line of the script and all of that, it didn't say that I say anything anywhere. So I was just like, but like, Dada, I'm not saying anything. It's just like, yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. I know that I can do it. I need people, I need filmmakers and directors to believe that I can and give me that opportunity. I don't know.
Hey Rohit.
Hi, Nidhi.
Hi, how are you?
Very good. How are you?
I'm great. Awesome. So I think it's safe to say that the end of 2020 has been quite life-changing for you.
Actually, all of 2020 has been quite life changing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So congratulations, because whatever you're doing, obviously it's working.
I would believe so. Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. So has all the fandom and appreciation and all the attention sunk in yet, or has it been overwhelming?
It was overwhelming when it began the whole
Mm,
thing, but now I think it's sunk in, and I'm very very grateful for it. I think I'm in the grateful
mm,
phase of it right now.
mm.
Very happy,
Awesome.
very grateful, and I really cherish it.
So before I dive into films and acting, I kind of want to speak to you about finding your place in the system and also, finding opportunities in the industry because there's one thing to, get projects or do films and actually, like become an actor, which is your primary goal, which is hard in itself. But
Yeah,
there's, I think, an added responsibility that actors have right now to navigate through the industry, whether it is hiring a manager or a professional, PR support or building that network. You coming from the outside, how easy or difficult has it been to learn those things?
I don't think it's. See, when you're doing it, when you're actually trying to navigate as to what projects to choose, what directors to get an access to, what casting directors to get an access to, it feels like it's, oh my god, it's so difficult and it's the end of the world and whatnot.
Mm,
But now when I think about it, it's actually quite organic. Like you figure it out along the way. One thing leads to the other.
mm,
Once it's the first break, it's the first job that gets
mm,
difficult to kind of, bag.
mm,
Once you get that, the access to all the casting directors gets easier. And,
mm,
with that, the access to auditions get easier. If you're
mm,
good enough, then you get the projects. If you're getting the projects, then you figure out, in the industry, you meet so many people, you figure out what management to go for, what,
mm,
who you want,
mm,
as someone who should represent you as a talent. And with that, the whole thing of PR and this and that comes in.
mm,
But honestly, apart from that, I think it's not the toughest thing in the world. You figure it out along the way. Of course, if you're starting out and you want to start with like, I want someone to represent me, I want a PR, and I want this and that, then of course it gets difficult because
right.
everything has its time.
Mm,
But other than that, it's actually okay. I mean, I
okay.
find it okay.
But then, was there a time when you realized that, okay, now I need to get professional support instead of independently managing my social media or independently, trying to find casting directors or go for auditions? Because that does become a little overwhelming, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so social media is something that uh, I refuse to get help for, um,
Okay.
because unlike many people, for me social media is actually a medium for me to be able to communicate with everyone that supports me. I do not
Mm,
want there to be a professional help, because then the moment there's professional help, uh, the authenticity is lost. I want to make sure that whatever's going out on my social media is by me and not
mm,
by someone else. um,
mm,
that's the only way I'm corresponding with everyone who's attached to me, associated with me right now.
mm,
So
mm.
that is a big no for me. No matter where my career goes, what's happening, that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
with uh, with with professional help, of course, like after Sky is Pink for me, I was um, very clear about the fact that I needed professional help with management. because it's not just your usual it's not just the usual money conversations, because you want to be having creative conversations with the makers. You don't want to be having monetary conversations with the makers. It just becomes strange.
Yeah.
I'm not well versed with it. I don't know how to do
Huh.
it. So it's easier to kind of have someone back you up like a team.
Yeah.
Also, you need that kind of support to understand what move next. Because like they've been a part of the industry before. They know what works, what doesn't work, what's good for you, what's not good for you. And coming from the outside, I don't know much about the industry, and it's only now that I'm kind of progressing. I'm figuring it out along the way. So I think it helps when you have professional help, and I decided that I needed that after Sky is Pink.
So, a few months ago, I had interviewed actress Sheba Chadda, and I think you've worked with
Love
her in the
Shiva ma'am
Norwegian
so
film.
much. Oh my god.
That has been the consistent response of everyone who's watched that interview, and they're like, "Oh my God, we love her! Like she's so
Yeah,
candid. It's amazing."
yeah. She's
And
amazing.
we, yeah, so we had a bit of a chat about social media because she recently became very active on Instagram during
Yeah,
lockdown.
yeah.
And yeah, so I basically asked her about, how that has been. And she brought up something about you that you had, I think, said to her while you were working in the Norwegian film. What Will People Say? I think that was the name, right? And I think, so she said something along the lines that you said to her, Ki, Shiba ma'am, a lot of people nowadays, they get work because of the things that they put out on social media. And it's true. I mean, a lot of
Yeah,
creators,
yeah,
have gone from A to Z because of their creativity that they portray on their social media platforms.
yeah.
Is there a specific way that your digital presence or something has helped you professionally?
Sorry, one second. I'm very curious to know what Shiba ma'am said. She said that I told her that a lot of
Huh.
people get work on social media.
Because of their social media presence, they manage to get a lot of work as well.
Wow, I can't believe she remembers that. That's sweet.
I'll
Wow.
send you the clip of it.
Oh, I'm going to text her today. This is very, very sweet.
Huh.
This just made me feel very mushy and very warm because it's been so long since I saw her. I don't remember the last time I met her.
Yeah.
But has my social media helped me get work? I think
Hmm.
not any of my films or any of my
Okay.
acting jobs, no.
Huh.
But of course, like now, there is a lot of branded content that goes out, right? And
Yeah.
that happens because of social media. Now, social media, if you don't have a big reach, I don't think the brands would want to
Hmm.
necessarily work with you, because of the
Hmm.
simple reason that they, if they're putting in the money, they need that kind of result also.
Result.
They
Yeah.
need that kind of benefit. So I think the branded content for sure,
Hmm.
social media helps. But for me, acting jobs haven't really come in because of my social media. Like that's never
Because of
happened.
that.
Like it's
Okay.
been the other way around. So all this while I tried to be active on my social media, and I thought that I'm going to grow organically
Hmm.
on social media over the years, and I have. But beyond the point, it became stagnant because I also got tired of it. Like I didn't necessarily, it's not something that I love. Social
Yeah.
media is not
Yeah.
something that I
It's very
spend.
consuming after a while.
Yeah, like I don't
Yeah.
spend more than like about an hour and a half in the entire day is what I would like to
Hmm.
ideally spend
Hmm.
on it.
Hmm.
As opposed to a lot of people who are actually content creators who spend like 12 to 15 hours a day,
Yeah.
on social media because that's their work. So I left it completely. But now Ludo and
Hmm.
Mismatched happened, and I grew from 400,000 followers to now a million and million point three.
Hmm.
That's almost about nine lakh people, and that happened because of my work. So actually, for me, it's been the
Yeah.
other way around. I haven't got
Hmm.
work because of social media. I've got social media because of work.
But are you mindful of what you put out now? Are you like more aware of the kind of content that you're going to put out?
I always have. I mean, I would like to believe that I've always been very responsible about
Uh,
what I say, because there are so many times that I get triggered because I read something on social media. So
mm,
I am mindful, but at the same time, I don't let being mindful make me dishonest. If I have an opinion that I feel that can trigger a lot of people, I choose to
mm,
not put it out,
mm.
uh, because there are so many opinions. It's not necessary for
Yeah.
mine to go out too. I just like I feel like it's the only way I can correspond with the people that support me. Why should I put out anything
Hmm.
that's negative? I don't.
Hmm.
They don't need that in their lives. I don't need that in my life. I'd
Yeah.
much rather just avoid it and be happy. And it's not because I'm scared to voice an opinion because I'm going to get shit for it. I get shit for it without voicing an opinion anyway. So it's absolutely fine. Like
Huh.
people will say what they have to say, but
Yeah.
I just do not want to upset anyone. I do not want to hurt anyone, and for
Hmm.
that simple reason, I just choose to like keep it to myself.
Okay, so now let's talk about films and acting. Ready?
Yes.
So, Ludo is where I was especially impressed by your work and the whole film in general. I mean, I think I watched that film and it stayed with me for at least 4 or 5 days where I kept on analyzing it because there is a lot to analyze in it.
Yeah.
And suddenly I realized, I'm like, wait a minute, Rohit just had one dialogue in the entire film and it left a mark. Did you know, like, were you given a narration of it and did you know that is going to be like a one dialogue character, or was that something that like organically happened? Because I think that is how Anurag Basu also works in a film.
Yeah, no, it actually happened organically. I did not know that it's going to be a character that's going to say very, very few
Huh.
lines. I in fact kept asking him during the shoot that Dada, when will I get to speak? And I really want to speak. And he said that when you can do the job without speaking, why do you need to speak? It's fine.
Huh?
And that's where I got the confidence. Also,
Hmm.
initially it was almost like. I mean, of course, when I got the whatever log line of the script and all of that, it didn't say that I say anything anywhere. So I was just like, but like, Dada, I'm not saying anything. It's just like, yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. And that made me very nervous because I was like, if I'm not speaking anything, how am I going to portray anything?
Hmm.
How am I going to emote? I have
Hmm.
not learned how to do that. I've always
Hmm.
had dialogues to voice it. And he said that it's going to be fun. Don't worry about it. Just trust me, and you're going to be fine. And
Hmm.
that's what I did. I think the first 2-3 days I was very wary of what's going on and whether I'll be able to do it or not. But eventually, it became so much fun because there were actually times when there were dialogues and then Dada and I just kind of looked at each other and we just like it's not needed, so we might as well not say it.
Huh.
So there were times when we actually cut the dialogues because it wasn't necessary.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So,
What
yeah.
was your first shot of the film or the first scene that you guys shot?
My first shot of the film was the car chase, where
Which one?
Pearly, Aditya,
Huh.
Sanya, and I were in a car, and there's a car, there's a
Oh,
truck of goons that's following us. So that was my
huh.
first sequence that we ever shot. Of course, we had to reshoot it
Huh.
later because something about it didn't work. But I remember my first
Okay.
shot was I enter the space and I see that there are two cars
Huh.
that are suspended by a crane, and
Uh-huh.
he said, "Okay, get into the car." So the four of us got into one car, and the goons got into to the other car.
Huh.
And then he just said, "Now react to the situation."
Hmm.
And there were, I think, 8 or 9 people just moving the cars and like banging into each other, and we had to react to that. So that was my first ever scene that I shot with Dada, and it was
Huh.
so much fun because I was blown away. I thought, we're actually going to shoot that.
Huh.
Um, but the whole thing was staged and everything was done in a
Prepared.
very
Yeah.
unconventional way, and that fascinated me like crazy. and
Yeah.
and it was I just had the best time shooting that, and I was so
Awesome.
exhilarated by the end of it. Like, this was towards the end of the day,
Huh.
so I was I went on set, and I went on set in the afternoon at some point, like post I think one, I went on shoot and we shot this sequence at 7:30 in the evening. Um,
Hmm.
like we waited for that long, and then we shot this. And
Hmm.
till the time I was waiting, I was just like, I'm so tired already waiting. Waiting I feel is very, very tiring.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
tired by the end of it, and then they called us for a shot. I was like, I don't even know if I'll be able to perform well now because I'm so tired. We
Huh.
shot that. I got out of the car and I was like, man, I can go on for another 12 hours because like I have so much energy now. It's so much
Huh.
fun.
That's the rush, right? That just
Yeah, yeah,
keeps you
yeah.
going.
And
Yeah.
that's the rush that you get on an Anurag Basu film set
I'm
because
sure.
because that man's crazy. He's a genius.
I'm sure. Okay, so growing up, what were your favorite kind of films? What did you grow up watching?
I grew up watching a lot of slice of life, coming of age, romantic dramas.
Mm,
I watched a lot of these. My
mm,
father watched a lot of actions. I used to be there, but like I
mm,
wouldn't really watch it because I would get a little uncomfortable watching it. But yeah, mostly it's the I grew up watching the quintessential tearjerkers and all those kinds of films, which is why I'm also this person who cries at the drop of a hat and like
Same
I
here.
I used to be that person. I'm changing a little bit now,
Huh.
but yeah, those are the kind of films I've grown up watching.
Hmm. And do you remember any film or actor or character that you saw and you know that gut feeling where you're just like, hey, this is what I want to do. Like, I wish I could do that. Do you remember any of those moments or any
I
films?
actually remember this one film. It's not that I want to do that particular, I want to
Huh.
be that person or something, but I saw it and I was blown away. I was very, very young. I don't even remember
Mm.
how old. There was this one film that my dad was watching called Twister.
Okay.
Okay. And it's
I've
this
seen
film
it.
about tornadoes and
Huh.
hurricanes.
Huh.
He was watching it and I watched it and I couldn't believe that there is this power where you can actually create a
Hmm.
tornado and be a part of it
Hmm.
and travel with it and like record its journey and analyze. I was blown away. I was so fascinated. I was just like, what is this world? I want to be in it. It was
Huh.
beautiful. I remember, and I that is one of my. I do not remember too much
Hmm.
with my dad. Like I don't
Hmm.
have too many memories with my dad
Hmm.
because I was always on my. So he passed when I was 11, so I don't
Hmm.
necessarily have too many things that I remember between us because I was so young, right?
Hmm.
However, this is one of the memories that I have, which I very clearly remember. I remember we were all, like my mom, my dad, and I, we were all, laying and we were watching this film. This is
Hmm.
back in Delhi. It was a winter night,
Hmm.
and beautiful. It's so clear in my head
Hmm.
that it almost feels like it was yesterday. It was beautiful, and I remember that is the day where I first felt so fascinated by the whole world of films.
That's a nice memory. So, as an actor now, since I'm sure you're getting more projects and you're exploring more,
Yeah.
it's a two-part question. A, what are you hungry for as an actor? And B, what's on your bucket list?
I'm hungry for a part that does not need me to be an urban boy.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I don't want to. I mean, I know that I can do this, but I also know that I can do the other
Hmm.
part.
Hmm.
Right? It's in fact something that I started with. I started with this film called Banana, where I was
Hmm.
playing this boy from Jamshedpur,
Hmm.
and I know that I can do it.
Hmm.
I need people. I need filmmakers and directors to believe that I can
Hmm.
and give me that opportunity. So
Hmm.
so I'm actually really hungry for a part that lets me be not an urban boy. Definitely want to do that. There are men and like the B part of it. There are so many directors I want to work with. I think the bucket list would be to work with the following directors. There are
Hmm.
many which I'm sure I will miss because there's so many.
Hmm.
But my top, the person who tops my list is obviously Mr. Bansali. I dying
Ah.
to work with him.
Hmm.
And there is Zoya Akhtar, there is Ayan Mukherjee, there is Shashank Khaitan,
Hmm.
um, there is Vishal Bharadwaj, there is
Hmm.
Anurag Kashyap,
Ah.
uh, and Imtiaz Ali. There are so many people I'm dying to work
Hmm.
with. So I guess
Hmm.
these are the people who are on my bucket list.
Before we end, we'll do a quick rapid fire, but since this is Popcorn Pixel, we'll do a fiery popcorn round. One word to describe 2020.
Blessing.
A recent show or a film that you watched which you wish you were a part of.
Sex education. It's not recent. I watched it a while ago, but I
Hmm.
really wish I was a part of it. I'm
That's a good
obsessed.
show. Yeah. How many hours on average do you spend on Instagram?
Right now, I think it would be about 2.5, 3, perhaps.
Oh, okay, that's not bad. Okay,
Yeah.
yes or no? Do you stalk yourself, the stories that people post about you on Instagram?
Oh, absolutely. What do you mean?
Are
I
you
mean,
tempted to respond as well?
I make sure that I respond.
Okay, that's
Uh,
good.
Yeah, because like there are so many of them, they tag me so that I can see, right? So how can I not see? Uh,
True.
so I always make sure that, I mean, see, to keep a tab on every story, I'll have to constantly be on my Instagram. So
Mm,
the time in the morning and time in the night that I usually spend on my Instagram, whatever stories are available, I definitely go through.
nice. Okay, so I'm going to name a few people who you've worked with, and I want you to just tell me what have you learned from working with them. Okay, Priyanka Chopra.
That when you're working with people, not I'll tell you what she did, which really inspired me, and that is
Mm,
she's this kind of person who doesn't want to just grow herself, but she wants to make
mm,
sure that the people around her, the people that she's working with, should also grow. Um,
mm,
she did that, and it really inspired me, touched me. She really
mm,
took care of me because we literally traveled the country together,
mm,
and we spent an average of 12 hours every single day together, and the way
mm.
she took care of me was absolutely beautiful. So
Amazing.
that is
Okay,
something.
Farhan Akhtar.
Discipline. He's very, very disciplined. Oh my God. It's crazy. So, yeah, discipline.
Awesome. Rani Mukherjee.
Unfortunately, I haven't spent a lot of time with her because we
Mm,
didn't have a lot of scenes together. But what I do remember is that whenever she would come on set, she'd bring the set with her. She'd bring
mm,
the whole set together.
mm,
That was very cool. And
mm.
I felt like that was a total boss lady moment for me when I saw it. It's like,
Huh,
man, this is amazing. So that's inspiring.
nice. Prajakta Koli.
I think her dedication towards her work, she's very, very dedicated. And that is something that I've also always believed in.
Mm,
Is your dedication, it never goes out of fashion.
mm.
So that just kind of reiterated it.
And last, Anurag Basu.
Ha!
You can go
It's an
on.
entire, yeah, you can go on.
Huh.
I think there's just one word for him, and that's family.
Oh.
He's, yeah, I love him, and I will go to any extent for him. I absolutely love him.
Awesome. Okay, and what's next on your plate?
I don't know. I can't talk about it. There
Okay.
are things happening.
Hmm.
Um, all that I can say is that y'all won't have to wait for too long before you see me on screen again.
Nice. Inshallah soon.
Yes, soon.
Awesome. Well, that's it. I wish you all the love and success. Thank you so much for taking the time out to chat with me.
Thank you so much, Nidhi. This was so much fun. Very
Thank
conversational.
you.
I loved it. Hi, guys. This is Rohit Saraf. And if you enjoyed this conversation with Nidhi, please like, share, and subscribe to Popcorn Pixel. There are many more Popcorn conversations coming soon.